In Hollywood, relationships don't always end with arguments or headlines. Sometimes they end quietly with unanswered calls, missing invitations, and a name that stops getting said out loud. And in Meghan Markle's case, that kind of silence has become increasingly noticeable. Not because anyone came out and declared anything, but because some of the loudest early support has slowly turned into something much quieter. Before we start, this video isn't here to make accusations, repeat tabloid rumors, or claim we know what happened behind closed doors. Instead, we're looking at public patterns, who showed up early, who spoke up, and who later became noticeably careful, neutral, or simply absent. Meghan Markle's rise has been unusual even by celebrity standards, an actress who became a global public figure almost overnight. And for a while, she wasn't just welcomed by the public, she was surrounded by famous allies, famous friends, and very high-profile support. In the beginning, the support around Meghan was loud. Some celebrities attended royal events and were photographed as part of that new orbit. Others defended her publicly, especially as media coverage intensified. It wasn't subtle. It was on-camera support, headlines, and visible alignment. And that's what makes the later shift so interesting, because what came next was a wave of public criticism. It was a wave of not saying anything at all. What stood out wasn't open conflict. It was absence. People who once appeared in the same headlines stopped appearing in the same stories. Names that once got mentioned casually stopped getting mentioned entirely. And in celebrity culture, silence can be strategic because it costs nothing and it avoids everything. It doesn't prove a feud, doesn't confirm a fallout, but it does create a pattern, visible support early on, followed by careful distance later. One of the most memorable early celebrity defenses came from George Clooney. In 2019, Clooney criticized the media treatment of Meghan, saying she was being pursued and vilified, and he compared the scrutiny to what Princess Diana faced. That's not a small statement. That's a major Hollywood name publicly stepping into the conversation. But over time, the public visibility of that connection became less obvious, fewer public comments, fewer moments where their names were directly linked. Again, this doesn't tell us what happened privately. It only shows that what was once a publicly expressed alignment became quieter. Another early figure closely associated with Meghan was Jessica Mulroney's, especially during Meghan's Toronto years. But in 2020, Mulroney became involved in a public controversy after influencer Sasha Exeter accused her of textbook white privilege. People also reported on the dispute and the public apology that followed. Whether or not anyone privately ended anything, what's visible is this. After that period, the once public closeness became far less visible. And in celebrity circles, sometimes relationships don't end with a statement. They end with a lack of new photos, a lack of mentions, and a gradual fade out. Priyanka Chopra is an interesting example, because rumors of distance have circulated for years, but she publicly denied feud speculation. In 2019, on Watch What Happens Live, she rejected the idea that she was upset with Meghan. And later that year, she also pushed back on a claim that she'd visited baby Archie, calling the story untrue. So this isn't someone turning against Meghan. It's more like a public association that stopped being consistently visible without either side publicly framing it as drama. Here's the bigger issue. Hollywood is risk avoidant. And controversy, especially global controversies, unpredictable. No public figure wants to be asked the same explosive questions on every red carpet, every interview, every press junket. So, sometimes, the safest move isn't choosing sides, it's choosing silence. And silence isn't always personal. It can be strategic brand management. Avoid headlines, avoid backlash, avoid being pulled into an ongoing narrative you can't control. One friendship fading can be coincidence. Two can be timing. But repeated shifts across different circles start to form a pattern worth noticing. It's not as proof of wrongdoing, but as a cultural signal. The Meghan Markle conversation became something many public figures seemed to step away from. And what makes this pattern powerful is that it doesn't require anyone to say anything negative, because the absence itself becomes the message. To be clear, Meghan Markle still has supporters, and relationships change for normal reasons all the time. Distance, schedules, new phases of life, different priorities. But in an industry where connections are currency, quiet distance is rarely accidental. When the cameras stop capturing a connection and the name stops being mentioned, it doesn't automatically mean drama. But it does mean something shifted. In Hollywood, the loudest message isn't always spoken. Sometimes it's who stops showing up and who stops saying anything at all.